Hi, I'm Reed Holson. Welcome to Ask the Mayor, our conversation with Mayor Mike Huther on what's going on in the city of Sioux Falls. And today we're at the Midco Aquatic Center. It's been open for just a few months, and Mayor, what a great place. People are embracing it. People are really enjoying it.
Well, it certainly has been fun. And coming out of the blocks, the swim blocks, it really has been well received, not only by the people of Sioux Falls, but you know, as we just had one of the biggest swim meets in South Dakota history, it's being embraced by swimmers and fans all across the Midwest. So, yeah, it's really fun to be here, and really looking forward to the program.
Oh, we've been open for just a few months here.
Yeah.
What's the feeling with the public, and how are they taking it in?
Well, I think first of all, they're just very, very happy that it's finally done. Been talking about this since 1951. We got it done on time, and under budget, which just I think makes every taxpayer, every citizen happy. But I think what's happened is that right away, as people come in here, they're just amazed by not only its size, its functionality, but also just how beautiful and spacious and wonderful it truly is. I think it's exceeded everybody's expectations, including mine. So it's just wonderful.
There's a lot of things that families can do here, from lap swimmers to birthday parties.
Well, and I think that that's the one thing that we tried to, educate the public on, even during the debate, is that there would be something for everybody at the new indoor aquatics facility if we ever got it built. And my goodness, there certainly is. Here we're in we got the 50-meter pool, which can be used for all kinds of things, whether it be, jumping off the high board to swimming lessons to, even teaching young people how to get in shape, or older folks, as they're trying to repair that injury that they have. And then, of course, we've got kind of the area where the fun stuff happens with the slides and the recreational pool, and yes, that aquatics therapy pool, which is so important. And then, as you mentioned, you can even have a birthday party here if you want. So yes, plenty to do.
Now, what's going to happen with the rest of the park here around here as the spring hits?
Well, one of the things that I think folks were somewhat worried about would be the park around the Midco Aquatic Center. And again, I think we talked about exceeding expectations. Well, the park around the pool is even more beautiful, more functional than it's ever been. Whether it be that sledding hill where folks, we are inside, but there are folks sledding outside, to, this spring, people will be playing tennis, they'll be having picnics, they'll be playing softball, and so much more. And not only, is this mayor celebrating it, but this neighborhood is celebrating it at the highest level, and their property values are celebrating it as well.
The city's continuing to grow. This is an aspect of the growth of the city. Quick growth, fast growth. How are we keeping up with all of this?
Well, Reed, Mike Cooper and Jeff Schmidt, they just announced we had the largest growth when it comes to new people living in Sioux Falls than we've ever had before. 5,200 people have decided to move into our town last year alone. So we're now at 178,500 people that are living here, that are working here, that are playing here. And when you have that growth, you definitely do want to stay one step ahead of it. And it's not just in terms of quality of life projects like the Aquatic Center or the Events Center, but it's also those fundamentals, the infrastructure, the public safety aspect, and yes, things like creating jobs and economic development. Those are the things that city government does well, and I think we've stayed one step ahead of that growth, even in a record year like last year.
I know how important roads are to you with this growth. Some bumpy roads out there, and some roads that need to be widened and enlarged. How are we planning for that?
Well, and I think that's going to be a reality for any mayor. But I think that we've really tackled it over the 7 years that I've had the honor to serve, and that is we've put more money into road repair, into infrastructure repair than we've ever done before. And that's going to continue, and we want it to continue because you don't want to fall behind, because the expense involved, if you do fall behind, is astronomical. So when it comes to roads this spring, what we used to do is maybe use a more subjective way to rank or determine what roads we're going to repair. Now it's done very objectively. We hired a firm to come in to basically take a picture of every single road in our city, give it a rating or an evaluation in terms of how dire need of repair it is, and now we're using an objective way to determine which roads are going to be repaired, how we can make them faster, safer, smoother, more functional, and so that's going to happen again starting this spring. So this is February, but as soon as we can, Sioux Falls, we're going to bring out truckloads and truckloads of those orange barrels. And so get ready. It's right around the corner, and we're pumped about it. And we're going to tackle some big projects. I think the biggest one that people are going to see will be right by the Sioux Empire Mall. And I think everybody in Sioux Falls, and yes, maybe all the folks in South Dakota and around this area, they know that road is in dire need of repair.
Yeah, right between the mall and the Target store in that
That's
area,
right.
Louise Avenue.
That's right.
It's going to be a big project. There's a lot going to be happening out in that area too, with the Ford dealership moving out, and there's going to be more development there.
Well, again, economic development, this growth pattern that we've had, 4 years of record growth, boom, 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 boom. And it looks like it's not slowing down, but again, that area that has been so busy already, they're finding ways to make it even more productive, generate more sales tax dollars, and yes, reap the rewards of the infrastructure that we already have out there. So again, whether it's out by the mall, or yes, downtown, where 50 million of that $700 million in record economic development occurred, downtown or north, south, east, west, it is not slowing down. And last year, one of the biggies involved creating places to live. I think that'll continue again this year, but that retail juggernaut isn't going to slow down either.
This growth, this market growth that we had, how concerned are you about the crime rate?
Always concerned about it. I think that if you're going to be a responsible public servant, it should always be at the highest priority for you. I don't want to, bore you with this line, but I really believe it. And since I've been the mayor, it nails you every day. And that is, the number one factor to a city's quality of life is whether the citizens or the visitors feel safe. Because if they don't feel safe, the rest is really secondary. This is a safe city. We are, investing a bunch of money into the resources to keep us safe. But the reality is is that not everybody that comes into town, whether they're living here or just pulling through and just stopping by, they're not all good neighbors. And then when you throw drugs, meth, heroin, opioids, and some drinking into the mix, people really do dumb stuff. And then they do illegal stuff. And folks, it does keep us hopping, sadly. But it's an issue that not only we're facing in Sioux Falls, but we're facing it certainly as in Rapid City, or Tripp, or Eureka, or Volga, or Wessington Springs. It's happening all over. And so, every public servant, every law enforcement person, we are in this beast all in. And then, maybe one thing to remember, hey, Sioux Falls citizens, we need your help too. Because if you rely just solely on the women and men of law enforcement, we're not going to keep up. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, help your neighbors out. And if you see something that smells funny or looks funny, let us know. Again, so we can play offense versus defense against some of these people who want to do bad stuff in our town.
Well, let's talk about continued growth in Sioux Falls and the Ice Rec Center, the one
Yes.
that's empty now. You took a stance recently. There was a suggestion to gift that land, and you're not going to sign off on that.
Yes, and again, I to be fair to the council, I think we're in the early stages of this discussion in terms of what do we do with that old ice rink and the property around it. So again, I don't want to be too forceful right out of the gate. However, I think that there's something that we truly have to understand in Sioux Falls, and that is, folks, nothing is free. These taxpayer dollars are limited, as we've talked about even on today's program or in programs before. There are all these wants, all these needs, all these expenses, and for us to just give away an incredibly valuable piece of property, I'm not going to support that. And there's not a taxpayer out there that I think will want to do it in that way either. Certainly, there's good organizations out there, there's good nonprofits out there, and they do wonderful things. And yeah, I do believe that there's a way that you could find common ground to potentially support some of those. But when you're dealing with a piece of property that's between $500,000 and $1 million in value, and that property is only going to go up in value, I think we need to be very, very cautious whenever someone's talking about giving it away.
All right. You've taken actions with vetoes
Yes.
recently as well, too. The most recent one was to veto the recording of the Parks Board meetings.
Yes, and I don't do vetoes very often, but I have done it now twice since I've been your mayor over the last 7 years. The latest one involved the recording of Parks Board meetings. And what I need folks to understand is that this wasn't about the Parks Board meetings in terms of my veto. What it was about was the precedent that it was setting, as well as, folks, the reason I vetoed it is that I believe that we should do everything in our power to stimulate conversation, to make it more open, more transparent, more productive, as well as to find more citizens who ultimately want to serve. They're doing it for free. They're not elected. They're true stewardships. And, the argument that, well, if you record these things, it's going to make it more productive, more open, more transparent, and it'll get more citizens to serve. No way. None. I've seen it. Others have seen it. And again, I respect the process, but there are going to be times where the council and the mayor or the executive branch were not going to agree. This was one of them. I'm thankful that my veto was sustained. But then again, here's another situation where I do believe that there's common ground, and I don't think we need an ordinance or a resolution to find it. We'll find it and do great things, and still find a way to get citizens actively involved in their government.
People kind of get upset that there's a veto that happens. Does it mean that government's broken, or is it just an action and part of governing?
Yeah, I think that we have one of the more functional governments in the country, and our results show that. Show me another city government across America where you're getting more done, where you're living within your means, where you are engaging the public at the highest level, as well as where you've got a confidence level like we have in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. To me, that's a sign of government that's working versus a sign of a dysfunctional government. Always, you're going to have some debate. You're going to have some disagreement. But actually, I think that's good. So yeah, if a mayor vetoes something sometime, that's the way our city charter works. It's either sustained or it's overruled. And in this case, or the last 2 times, or the only 2 times, both times it has been sustained. I appreciate that. And then guess what? The very next day, the 8 city councilors, this mayor, and the 1,230 plus city employees, guess what we do? We get up, we get back in the ring, and we do productive things for the people of Sioux Falls. People that want to create this portrayal that there's all this drama, I'm going to tell you, it is created. Certainly, we're not always going to agree, but that's good, not bad. And in Sioux Falls, we're doing great things, and we're going to continue to do great things, whether I'm your mayor or whether it's a new city council, whatever it would be. This is how Sioux Falls rolls, and I think we've got the track record that backs it up.
All right, we're going to take a break, Mayor.
Thank you, Reed.
Stay out of the pool for the time
yes,
being.
thank you. But it looks great.
It does. It looks fantastic at the Midco Aquatic Center. Of course, you want to find out more about that and what the hours are and what the great programs are, go to midcoaquaticcenter.org on the web or through our website at siouxfalls.org. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Justin Clem, and I'm here today to talk about the influenza virus. As this graph from the South Dakota Department of Health shows, influenza is clearly on the rise in South Dakota, and we don't expect that to slow down anytime soon. We can also see that the virus has caused dozens of hospitalizations, and sadly it has even claimed South Dakotan lives so far this season. It's not too late to get immunized, and I strongly encourage you to discuss this with your healthcare professional.
Back at Ask the Mayor, if you have questions for the mayor, you can get a hold of us at siouxfalls.org. Click on the mayor's office and send your questions in to Ask the Mayor. We're at the Midco Aquatic Center, just months old, still smells brand new, and people are really enjoying it. We're in the large pool area that can be split up to multiple uses. Right now it's split up into 3 different areas where people can lap swim or just swim for fun.
The functionality of your indoor pool is just tremendous. And again, Sioux Falls, if you've not seen it or have not utilized it, just come on down. We'd be happy to give you a free tour, as well as we want you to use this place. And if you don't use it, bring your kids, bring your grandkids, or just bring some visitors here so that they can enjoy it. It is cold as ice out there today, so come on in and really just feel like you're in Acapulco or Florida or wherever, and you're right here in Sioux Falls, just really enjoying it.
And depending on your mood and what you want to do, there's all kinds of different things to do in here.
There is. And so just come on down and really just jump on in.
All right. Great locker rooms, great facilities, swimming lessons even too if you want to learn how to swim.
You know, my grandson George is now 8 months old, and you're not going to believe this, he just finished his first set of swim lessons. And not only did George love it, but his mom and dad did too. And so again, whether you're 8 months old or whether you're 98 years old, this is a facility that there's something there for you.
All right, well, let's talk about the event center. We finished up the books for 2016. There were concerns when it was going to be built. Is it going to hold its own? Is it going to be profitable? So how did we do in 2016?
Well, I'm going to have to hold my enthusiasm back here a little bit. But again, we made a commitment that if the citizens let us invest into that event center, we would do everything that we could to operate it in the black. And what I mean by that is that the revenues would be greater than the expenses. And because of the work of Ovations and SMG and the City of Sioux Falls, not only did we operate it in the black, we generated more net revenues than we did even last year. And Reed, that just doesn't happen, where you have year 2 more successful than year 1. But it did. It did. And so again, we're operating your government like a business. We're operating these public facilities like a business. And the results of the event center certainly prove that out.
And people are going to more than one show. People figured maybe they go to one and stop, but people are coming back.
They are. We've got the 88th busiest event center when it comes to touring events in the world. And that's 12 spots higher than what it was even last year. And again, as that word spreads about our event center, just how functional it is, how well received the groups are that come, that word spreads. That's how you get people like Sir Paul McCartney, the Eagles, Elton John, professional bull riding, adding an extra day for the first time since they've started doing this around the country and around the world. That word is spreading, and Sioux Falls, as well as all the visitors that enjoy our new event center, we're all reaping the rewards for it. And again, remember, Reed, we need folks to come from out of town to our event center, to the Midco Aquatic Center, to our vibrant downtown, to the Washington Pavilion. We need people coming from out of town to these events, because that's how we generate sales tax revenues. And I don't want to make people upset that are coming into town, but I pull no punches when I say this. I would much rather have the visitors of Sioux Falls, or the visitors to Sioux Falls, I would much rather have them pay for our roads, our water lines, our parks, our police, our fire team. I would much rather have them pay for it than the 178,500 people that live here. And that's how it works, Sioux Falls. Sales tax revenues generated by visitors does nothing but help us, the citizens of Sioux Falls. And that's happening at the event center, at our pool, and so many other places.
Let's talk about your top 10 list, the top 10 wins for the past year. We're going to focus on the top 5.
Okay.
So number 5, downtown development. Downtown's still going strong.
Yeah, it is. It is going so hard. $50 million in development last year. Places are sprouting up in terms of places to live, places to work, places to play. All those old buildings that were kind of underutilized, they're being purchased, revitalized, repurposed, and really doing great things. You got these monster projects like Washington Square. Darren Ketchum and I and Brent O'Neill, we had the opportunity to go up to the top of that Washington Square. And oh my goodness, it's breathtaking. And it's happening in our downtown. And again, when I was running for mayor 7 years ago, we were certainly struggling. Not anymore. So I'm really, really proud of it.
Well, Midco Aquatic Center came in on time, under budget.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I just want to celebrate, is that you always hear about these public projects and how they're always over budget. And they're always having to go back for more money, and it always upsets the taxpayers. Well, that may always happen elsewhere, but it's not happening in Sioux Falls. We proved that with the Denny Sanford Premier Center, and we've proved that again with the Midco Aquatic Center. It's opened on time, it is under budget, and it's open to rave reviews.
Economy, number 3, is still going strong here in the city of Sioux Falls.
It is. Again, whether it be the lowest unemployment rate in the country at about 1.9% right now. Help wanted signs everywhere. We talked about the record development, 4 years of record straight development. We hit $700 million for the very, very first time. Yes, people are moving in here in numbers that we never thought of. Sioux Falls, try to gain some perspective here. We grew the city of Harrisburg last year. We added the city of Harrisburg onto the city of Sioux Falls in 2016. I'm originally from Yankton, so about every 3 years we're adding a city of Yankton. So yeah, there is this incredible activity that's going on. I'm really proud of it, excited about it. At the same time, want to be somewhat cautious in that, sales tax revenues, they have softened a bit. Whether it be internet sales or a more cautious ag economy, we're aware of that. We're adjusting to it, but at the same time, this economic juggernaut that we've created in Sioux Falls, it's truly something to celebrate, and that's why I think it's number 3 on our list for 2016.
Well, it's incredible to think we grew by 5,000 people. creates problems with unemployment, housing, and those types of things. How do we keep up with that, many people coming in?
Well, and again, you have to prioritize, you have to be frugal, you have to be prudent, and yes, you have to plan accordingly. I think that we do that well here. But at the same time, you know, even going into the budget discussions again, whether it be 17 or 18, I think that you're going to find that a lot of our dollars are going to have to go and will have to continue to go towards the fundamental needs of our city, the infrastructure, the public safety, yes, and keeping up with the growth. Because again, we've invested so much in quality of life, at least over the last 7 years. Really proud of it. But yes, as we're growing, Reed, we're going to have to probably reprioritize some of our dollars too.
Number 2 on the list, the city administration buildings under construction.
Yes, and again, please understand, Sioux Falls, these are the top 10 that I consider for our city. The reason I think this is such an important one is that we don't spend dollars needlessly here in Sioux Falls. The last time we invested in a building to not only serve our citizens, but also to, you know, house our wonderful employees was back in 1936. That's a long, long time ago. So I'm proud of our people. I'm proud of our council. I'm proud of the fact that we've invested money that will serve our citizens and our employees for the next 100 years. Now, it did not happen without some vigorous debate. And not everybody agreed with this mayor in terms of its importance. But mark my words, just like with the event center, just like with the pool, just like with the Washington Pavilion, just like with all these things where you have this vigorous debate, what happens is that after they open and after the people start to really see the benefit, we all cheered on. And the same thing's going to happen with our city administration building. And not only will we cheer it on now, 100 years from now, they'll still be cheering.
All right. Well, in closing, number one big win, the city's living within its means.
Sioux Falls, I think we maybe take this for granted a bit. And I wanted to make sure that we did not. Because you cannot imagine the amount of work that your city employees went into when it came to staying within our budget, living within our means, hitting that reserve goal of 25%, and yes, still serving our citizens and getting things done. We recognized early that we had a softening sales tax environment, and we could have put our heads in the sand. We didn't. Not only did we recognize it, but we executed against it. That is something that I'm unbelievably proud of. We're running government like a business. We're unbelievably frugal in how we're doing it. And yet we're still getting things done and serving our city, whether it be making sure that the pool is warm enough, to the potholes are filled, or to the streets are cleared of snow. We're doing it well, and living within your means is pretty important if you're going to be a public official, not only in South Dakota, but especially in Sioux Falls.
All right, Mayor Huether, thanks for your time.
You bet, Reed.
All right, from the Midco Aquatic Center, this has been Ask the Mayor. Keep in touch with us at siouxfalls.org, and thanks for watching.